then they have nothing.
Man, sucks. Should have picked a better name.
This is the most I read in the wiki. Maybe you have this in your trivia too. This is the most watched episode of the whole series. It got 17.29 million viewers, becoming the most watched drama series telecast in basic cable television history.
That's wild. Those numbers now are unthinkable, right? Like
I
for any
know.
show.
Even then they were
Yeah.
on basic cable. And then season 5 is the most viewed season of The Walking Dead. We're entering into season 5 here. It's also the highest rated on Rotten Tomatoes at 90%. The next best, season 9, is at 89%. So we're heading into the good stuff here.
It's funny because after this point, I'm like way less clear on what happens and I kind of love it. I'm really pleased. I'm like, oh, I don't really know exactly what's going to happen. So yeah, I'm here for the ride.
I have little bits and pieces, flashes and stuff. But yeah, I actually, I feel like heading up to this, we're actually over the hill now.
Yeah.
It's all downhill from here. No,
right.
Not quite. All right, let's get into it. You want to read the plot summary?
Yeah. Rick and the group are prisoners at Terminus, lined up for execution by Gareth and his cannibalistic followers. Just as things are about to turn deadly, Carol launches a surprise attack. Covered in walker guts, she blows up a fuel tank and leads a horde of walkers into the compound, creating chaos and giving Rick and the others a chance to fight their way out. Meanwhile, Tyrese is hiding in a cabin with baby Judith and a captured Terminus man named Martin. He's forced to make a brutal choice to keep them safe. Eventually, the group escapes, and Rick, Carl, and Judith are reunited in an emotional moment. Rick wants to go back and finish off the survivors of Terminus, but the others convince him to let it go for now.
That was a weird choice of ChatGPT's to say Rick, Carl, and Judith are reunited when Daryl and Carol and also Sasha and Tyrese were reunited. But anyway.
ChatGPT showing its bias.
Yeah, I guess so. So how was it to go back to this one? Had you seen it in a while?
Sometimes when I have like a sick day or I don't want to watch something new, I just want to watch something that makes me feel good, I watched this episode.
Oh, wow.
But it's been a while, and it must have been a while because I found the trough scene really hard to watch both times. And like I used to be like, wait, and now I'm like, oh no, am I getting old? It's horrifying, and even more horrifying actually. The termite stuff, like the flashbacks, I was like, oh, these hit hard. So yeah, I loved going back and rewatching it, but I was surprised how much it still affected me.
Yeah, which I mean, that's the way it is with these shows. It's simultaneously good and like, oh, it's bad, it's horrible. You know, I mean, that's the reason. One of the reasons why people love this episode so much is because it's so brutal and intense and horrible.
And then it pays off in this beautiful catharsis.
It pays off, yeah. But
then you get the gut punch at the very end as well, which I'd forgotten happened.
With Morgan coming back, yeah.
Morgan, and I mean that just triggered because of Fear the Walking Dead. I was like, oh no, this is going to go bad. But yeah, that plus the termites, it's rough. It's a rough go.
I know that's what you meant, the termites in the train. So yeah, I mean, in my head, I've had this as my favorite episode of The Walking Dead for a long time. And I know it's a lot of other people's favorites too. But like with most Walking Dead episodes, I'd forgotten a lot of what happened.
Same.
I hadn't seen it since season 5 aired. I probably watched it 3 or 4 times at least back then, but not since. So I don't know, what's that, 10 years or something. And I thought it really held up. It was so disturbing and thrilling and triumphant, like you said. Yeah, just all of that.
It's a deft episode. It's Scott Gimple at his finest. Because
and the
he's
filmmakers
juggling
too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And they're all, what they did that really impressed me this time around was I forgot how much happened in this episode, because when I put it on to play, I was like 42 minutes. Okay, that's like a regular length of The Walking Dead. But so much, and they bounce from place to place and storyline to storyline really deftly. Not a word is wasted, not a moment is spared. There's silence. Like, it's just I feel like if you did a TV writing class, you would show people this episode and be like, what makes it a good episode? Break it down, because it is brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, it is the writing and the sound design. Like,
it won an award, I think, the sound design.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, of all the things that won an, I mean, it's great, but it just makes me laugh that, like...
Not just like the, Foley sounds or whatever, the gross sounds and everything, but I almost don't want to call it music because it's more like a soundscape a lot of times. It's just eerie sounds pulsing, like dark. There's dark things happening here, It really, like, even when Tyrese and Carol are at the tracks, and Tyrese doesn't want to kill the one zombie, so she does, and then she looks over and sees more zombies coming out of the woods. They played this that made me have that feeling I used to have with Romero zombies, where it's like, oh, creepy, and I'm like, what? I don't care about zombies anymore, but I think sound adds a lot there.
No, it's great. It's really great.
But the two things that did stick in my mind were Carol blowing up the fuel tank. I can like always picture that in my head, and the trough. Like, I could never forget that. Oh my
God, who could ever forget that? Like, I think the trough is in many ways more disturbing than the lineup. Like, the lineup's horrible because
the Negan lineup, you mean?
Yeah, because it ends with Glenn's death, and Glenn's death is horrible. But this trough scene is another level of horrifying.
Yeah. Actually, do you mind if I go first this week?
No, not at all.
Because I'm going to go into
It's your first point.
The trough.
Why Negan is scarier than the trough. An essay by Jason.
It's the trough. No. I totally agree with you on that. I'll start a little bit back because it's so all the elements are working together. It's so well done, the whole sequence. It starts in the dark train car, and that pulsing soundscape came in, and they're doing their best to make weapons out of what they have, but not knowing what waits for them outside, and neither do we at this point. And Rick says, you all know what to do. Go for their eyes first, then their throats. I'm like, damn, who would have thought in season 1 you'd ever hear Rick Grimes saying something like that? That would be an interesting flash forward. So then the termites take them unawares, dropping tear gas in. They stomp Rick and pull out. We find out 4 of them: Daryl, Bob, Glenn, and Rick. But then, that was a good move artistically to knock him out, because then as he's fading back into consciousness, you see flashes, then they're blurry in it, and you hear that buzzsaw, and it's like, something bad is going on over there, but it's blurry, and then it resolves, and it's a body being cut up on a table. And then, like, there's almost no buildup. Just almost immediately they're bound with zip ties, gagged, and down on their knees over this trough. And man, I feel like this might be the most intense scene in all of The Walking Dead. Like, if ever there was a scene where I was actually on the edge of my seat watching the show, this might have been it. Because I remember just being like, what the fuck? And then right away, like, the guy in the stained butcher's apron is casually swinging the bat back and forth, like he's getting ready to step up to home plate. And of course, comic book fans were thinking about Negan here, because we knew what happened to Glenn, and I was probably wondering if this was the TV show's substitute for it or something. I think it was a deliberate tease. And we see Sam on the end, and I'm like,
such a good choice.
This guy,
such a good choice. Like,
because he's naive and he's the type of guy to fall into the trap.
And even just the fact we recognize him, so we have an emotional investment that we don't have with some other person. Like, if that was just a random dude, it would be horrible. But the fact that he and Rick are looking at each other like, I know you, I know, I saw you a week ago. This is where we are now. And I think at that point,
fancy meeting you here.
Yeah. Oh my God. Dude,
I know you. Hey, I know him.
Hey, buddy. I think at that point they had this weird kismet of, like, Robin Lord Taylor had actually become quite famous. So, like, having him, it was almost more like a cameo at this point. I know.
It's the Penguin.
I just loved it. I thought that was just such a gut punch to have it be someone connected. It made the stakes feel higher, because if it had been fully just red shirt, Rick and the gang, it would have been crap. But having someone that we're like, oh fuck, we know this guy.
You're right. That little detail just added a lot more to it. Yeah. And Robin Lord Taylor is such a good actor that he
so great.
Didn't need any words to just convey, fuck, And then but just to remind people, in case you didn't remember, when Rick and Carol were out on their supply run, they met Sam and his girlfriend, and they seemed very unskilled. And Carol sent them out to gather supplies, and gave him Rick gave him his watch to time it so they could get back there. That's why Carol found that watch. But then they found zombies eating his girlfriend and never saw him again until now.
Yeah.
Then the guy whacks him, fucking
Oh
whacks
my
him
God.
on the back of the head. And then the other guy immediately pulls his head back and slits his throat and pushes him back over
Oh,
the trough so his blood could spill into it. And I'm like, holy shit, like this is just happening right now. And then they
yeah.
quickly do the second one. And I'm like, oh, wow. They're just having it be a lineup like this. And Glenn is the first one
Yeah.
was just like, if you had heart problems, you probably shouldn't be watching this.
Well, I think Bear McCreary tweeted something like, if you have kids, do not let them watch The Walking Dead tonight or
Yeah.
indeed ever, because this will not be okay. And I'm like, yeah, fair.
Yeah, totally. Then the third guy gets whacked and Glenn starts getting all freaked out. And then the look on Rick's face, like, we saw him looking kind of crazed, I think, with Joe, but here he looks deranged, murderous, insane, grabbing his wooden spike. And then Gareth strolls in with his fucking ledger, which I kind of love.
I love it. We always said it was a clipboard. I said that as well. And I'm like, no, it's worse. It's like an artisanal moleskin. He's like,
very hipster. And he's like, hey guys, where are your shot counts? What were your shot counts? And the guy with the bat, 38, whack, fourth guy down. And he's keeping track, I think, of the ammo they used when they were herding Rick and everyone out into the train cars. And just this juxtaposition of casualness, orderliness, and acting like it's all mundane with the horror of what's happening is so effective. It's a little bit like the Squid Game effect where they juxtapose children's games with death. Like, it's so much more effective than if they were like, evil and everything. And I think the way they got to this, they're modeling these guys after cattle butchers who are probably just as desensitized and also methodological and disciplined about what they do. And I think, Scott Gimple, my guess is he came upon this phrase, you're either the cattle or the butchers. You're either the butchers or the cattle. And he just built the episode around that concept, So
Definitely.
what would it be like if they were actually just sort of thinking of these people as cattle? They're dehumanizing them. And just that effect was, I never remember ever seeing anything quite like that before or since. The setup and the vibe of it was just something special in a whole totally fucked up way.
I found myself laughing, not because of because you're right, it's so deranged, it's so evil, but just these like podunk guys with the baseball bat, as soon as they open their mouth, you're like, oh my God, these are just dudes. Like, they're not evil. They're just like, I don't know what my count was. How am I supposed to know? And I'm like, it's such a weird juxtaposition.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like, why is this?
I mean, the chilling thing about this is it's about what happens, when I first saw this, and I think up until very recently, like maybe last night, I was like, it's a great episode, but no one would ever be like that, right? It's comic booky. But now I realize it's what happens when we dehumanize each other. When we, for whatever reason, start thinking about each other as not human or not worthy anymore. And that's like the whole thing with The Last of Us between, if you watch that, the Seraphites and the WLF, that's what they've done to each other. And of course, that's based on what's happening in the Middle East and everything. It's just humans are totally capable of, and vegetarians would argue when you do this in an actual cattle butchery, it's just as bad,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I have a similar point, but I'll come on after yours.
Okay, let's see. I think I'm almost done. The guy rears up to hit Glenn, and Gareth is like, "Hey," to the other guy, "What about your shot count?" "Oh, I'm sorry, it was my first roundup," which is another cattle term. That's when you gather cattle to be slaughtered or branded or whatever.
I mean, your first day at work is always hard.
Yeah,
it's okay
like,
you don't count all your shots.
This
Empathy
time
to this
is
guy,
fine, yeah, but we get a demerit next time.
Yeah.
And then, and also just the fact that Sam was there, made me wonder, cause Gareth says also, okay, there's 4 from A and 4 from D, right? He's marking it in his ledger. So Sam, I guess, was in train car D, and we all knew there are still more people in A, Abraham and Sasha and everyone. So I'm like, maybe there's more people in D. And I wonder if that was to plant that in our heads so that when Glenn wants to save people yelling in the train car on the way out, but I don't think that was D, that was train car. Fuck this guy.
Yeah, that was train car. You picked the worst train car, Glenn. Go and think about what you did. Like, that was
But
really
then
bad.
back to the slaughter room, the 4Ds get hit. Bob tries to talk Gareth out of it and says they have a man who knows a cure. I love that because then Gareth has this look on his face like all of us do. Like, come on, dude.
Yeah,
You don't believe
Gareth,
that,
to
do
be
you?
fair, wiser than the rest of us. Like, we're like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, there you go.
And
Cool.
then Bob, we can put the world how it was. Gareth can't go back, Bob. That line I
Can't go back,
remember
Bob.
too.
I love the way he says that line. I was like, see if I could get a t-shirt that said, can't go back, Bob. I'd
Yeah,
be
can't
really
go
into
back,
it.
Bob. And it
Can't
shows
go back,
Bob with
Bob.
one leg. No, that's
Yeah.
awful. I'm almost done, I swear. Then Gareth takes Rick's gag off and says we should go. He saw them go into the woods with the bag and come out without it. And I think that answers your question from last week. You'd wondered if they knew.
I
They
think they let
clearly
them in.
did. Yeah,
Yeah.
they let him
Yeah.
in. Then here's Rick looking all bloody and deranged and sweaty with this almost smile, like, and says, tells all the weapons and says, and a machete with the red handle. That's what I'm going to use to kill you. And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what happens. But I always think about that and then how he told Negan, I'm going to kill you. And I'm like, I'm still waiting for that one, buddy. You still got that machete? Like,
if I could keep one of them, I'd have kept Gareth.
yeah,
I could go back in time. That guy.
What would have happened? Sliding
You could
doors.
rehabilitate him. He could be your secretary or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
just
he's
put it
clearly
all in here.
organized. He's
Just don't let him near the food.
but then the explosion happens and disrupts everything.
I love that. And I think what you say is totally right. I think like I've been thinking a lot about totalitarianism and fascist states. Just because I've been thinking a lot about I don't know really. I traveled to Switzerland, which has obviously been pointedly neutral in a lot of European conflicts. So I've been thinking a lot about like the way things are in Europe, the way things are in the world. And I wondered if you'd ever read anything by Hannah Arendt, the philosopher. She's fascinating. So I promise listeners who are like, guys, can you go back to the train car and like dopping people over the head with a baseball bat? We will in a minute. Hannah Arendt was a philosopher in the mid 20th century who wrote this book called Eichmann in Jerusalem. And it's a book, I think the subtitle is The Banality of Evil. So the story behind why she wrote it is she was sent by the New Yorker to cover the trial of Adolf Eichmann, who was found in, I think, Buenos Aires in the 1960s, and then made to stand trial for almost all of the horrible things that he had seen and let people do during World War II, so the atrocities in concentration camps. And Arendt witnessed this whole trial, and she came up with this idea of the banality of evil. And the kind of evil that she talks about, I've got a couple of quotes, are about exactly what you were saying. It's about the dehumanizing of people and the playing on people's will to be law-abiding in a system of power. So if you're in a totalitarian system and it's an industrialized culture, you can start to go along with systems that you don't realize you're going along with, and you start to dehumanize and you start to think, yeah, I'll just take 4 from A and 4 from D and stop thinking about what it is you're actually doing. So there's an article in Philosophy Now by Georgia Arkle who like rewrote or reconsidered some of what Arendt argued. And Arendt defines the banality of evil as the dilemma between the unspeakable horror of the deeds and the undeniable ludicrousness of the man who perpetrated them. So like, it's ludicrous that someone like Gareth, with his leather-bound binder book, and that these two guys who clearly just used to play football on a Sunday and are just assholes you stay alive with, that they're doing these unspeakably horrible things. But the perpetrators are not these big monsters. They're regular people. It's ludicrous that these two things coexist. So Arkle says, and I thought this was quite a neat summary, that Arendt believed that specifically bureaucratic industrialized culture supplied the necessary conditions to disguise the monstrous and sadistic evil involved in the Holocaust. The success of any totalitarian regime relies primarily on its capability to destroy the thinking process of its subjects, transforming human beings into automatic and banal receivers of orders. Thus, the new type of criminal was precisely and most shockingly the ordinary law-abiding bureaucrat. And that really made me think about the system that Gareth has created of lawfulness and order and making sure that you've got your shot counts and making sure that you're taking from 4 and 5. Like that speech, one of the most chilling bits, I think, for me, is when he gives the speech to the two to the baseball bat butchers. You've got 2 hours to dry them, hang them, then we go back to public face. Things can get messy, but we're going to clean them up before then. Like that's the chilling bit, is the way in which they continue to live having perpetrated these acts of
Hmm.
violence and then go
It's all
back to this idea of,
systematic and
yeah, it's so systematic. And the
mm,
minute you start to systemize it and contextualize it and justify it with things that have happened to you before
mhm.
and after, it becomes a whole thing. So, yeah, weirdly, The Walking Dead made me want to read Hannah Arendt again. So I feel like if Archmaester Rennie is listening,
Mm.
they're
It
probably like,
sounds
yes.
great. Yeah, that's a great title, The Banality of Evil. And one thing I love about it is, you guys often hear me talking about how I don't think it's fair when charming people get away with things, and the reverse side of that coin, annoying people maybe get treated more unfairly or judged more unfairly. And the
Yeah.
thing you think that it seems ludicrous that Gareth exists, but honestly, I think it's that's more common because we tend to respond to things based on our feeling about them rather than
Hmm.
what is actually happening. Like I used to always argue this with Yellow Jackets, like Shauna's fucked up, guys, but
Hmm.
we like her because she's funny or whatever. It's
Hmm.
like there's things that you vibe with, but if you think about the what's actually happening, then you realize. But that's the thing, when evil is most effective is when it gets us to a place where we don't think about it anymore because it just seems normal. It doesn't, you know what I mean?
And
I'm
Rick,
basically saying the same thing that you're saying. Yeah.
no, but Rick toes that line a lot in this series. Like there are points where Rick, he's never quite at termite level, but things like killing the saviors in their beds, like
Yeah,
that's dark. That's making
absolutely.
people, and what's
But
different,
people
I
are like,
guess, is,
Rick's my hero, so it's whatever he does is fine.
and you even see, I always remember how much Glenn struggled with that in the show, and like
Yeah.
we see people pushing against it. Annoyingly, in this episode, Rick is right, and they should have gone back and killed all the termites for sure. I'm sure Bob would agree. Well, no, Bob got bit anyway, but.
Yeah, the one thing I caught in there that because yeah, Bob would have lived. It was interesting to me that Rick said, they don't get to live. So it was like he didn't say we need to go back and kill them so they're not a threat. He's like they don't get to live. So it was almost like it was a revenge thing. But either way, you're right. It would have been better off if they would have just finished them off so Bob got to live. But Maggie said the fences are down, so they're either dead or they ran. And I
Yeah.
thought, oh, that's actually smart. Maybe it's not even worth the risk of going back to this hellscape because they're probably not even there anyway.
Just hope someone opened the door to fucking train car D, man. Like
Ah,
they're just
that's
sitting
true.
there.
I know.
Like
Yeah,
fucking
train
hell.
cars D's dead. They're just
Oh,
sitting in there, gonna starve to death.
oh, that's so bleak, man. I was like, of all the train cars to open, it's the rapist. Great.
I
Like,
know.
I'm like 10 out of 10. Like, oh, awful. Awful. So yeah, in terms of the bit that you covered with your point as well, I think the fear in the actors, I mean, you've probably read this, but they weren't told that there was going to be blood or really what was going to happen in
The
that scene. So
throat
the
slitting, right?
yeah, so the
Yeah.
reactions you see from like the four that we care about, I guess, are,
uh,
are real in the sense of like, what the fuck is
That
happening?
is so great. Well, they're like somebody's saying off to the screen. By the way, guys, this is real.
Yeah.
We
By
didn't
the way,
want to
you're going to
tell you,
die
but
today. Your contract is not being renewed.
we're
What?
changing the script.
Oh God. Here's another thing I love about this episode as a whole that you made me think about was nobody in this episode actually names what is happening. Nobody in this episode ever says they're fucking eating people or they're cannibals. And I love that. I love that there's so much that is just undeniably implied and inferred from what we see and what we piece together. And I just think that is
I didn't even realize that. It's cool.
that is good writing. If it was Fear the
Yes.
Walking Dead, we would have had a monologue of like, what you'll see, whoa, ho, ho, these guys are sure killing people and eating, like. So I
Yeah.
love that we see like the buckets that are labeled burn, feed, wash. We see the butchering, but not in detail. Like it could be something else. It's not something else, but it could like, are we seeing what we think we're seeing? I don't know. I love that. And I just love that Gareth kind of saunters in to sort of
Hmm.
show off a bit and I don't know. It's just
Be
great.
the boss. You can tell
Fantastic
they've
scene.
done it a million times. I mean, the
Yeah.
fact that the guy who came out that Glenn let out is the guy the leader of the guys who raped them and everything.
Yeah.
I guess they're keeping him alive just to probably remember what happened, but he's got marks all over him, right? So they're probably torturing him. But anyway,
Yeah.
he's got a beard and long hair, and so you can tell it's been a while since this all happened, and they just have this all, like we said, systematized, and they've been through it a million times to the point where they're bored with it, it seems like.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't catch it this time around. I was the first time I watched it, I was like, oh my God, it's the same guy. And he comes out all, yeah, it's
We're the
brutal.
same.
We're the same. We're the same. I'm like, not a good first impression.
And then
really.
chomp right away.
I know, I
Oh,
was like,
man.
oh. Glenn's like, my bad.
Well, then
Sorry.
Glenn like whacked him in the head with a bat right after he'd said, I'm going to save him, right? And I'm like, oh, because the wiki says, oh, he did that to make sure he doesn't turn. And I'm like, I don't think so. There's zombies everywhere. Who cares? I think Glenn, he was like, fuck you, man. But yeah, he's like, I'm like, well, he was, Glenn doesn't know how bad this guy is. He just knows he's crazy. I was like, that's kind of extreme, Glenn.
He's had a day. I mean, he was so close to
being
fuck
murdered. This guy, whack, whack, whack.
Daryl, on the other hand, Daryl's like, he was 2 down the line. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And that scene where he's threatening to stab Bob in the eye still gives me the absolute ick. Like, I love when he says that, when Rick says, I'll show you, I'll take you out. And like, not going to happen. This might. I'm like, oh no.
That too, just the dialogue there, very spare. You get that what Rick means by I'll take you out, and you know that Gareth is like, I'm not going to go out there with you because you're going to try to kill me, and that's exactly what his line would have been on the Fear of the Walking Dead.
Yeah,
but they don't have to say it, you know.
Yep.
Do you want to do another point?
Yeah, sure.
I was going to talk about the escape. Do you have anything about that, like on the way out?
No, I was going to talk about Carol, so you go.
Yeah, let me do that, and then we'll finish that.
Yeah, and then we can fit around it. Yeah, sounds good.
So it's all chaos outside, gunfire everywhere, screaming, a flaming Zed gnawing on a guy's face with blood pouring out. Like, iconic. 3 Zeds eating a screaming woman. I'm like, Terminus didn't turn out to be so good.
Greg Nicotero was clearly just like, way!
Yes, this is the best. And then in all the chaos, Rick gets free and stabs the 2 guys, the bat holding guy and the knife holding guy in the throat. And I'm like, you said eyes first, but you just went straight for the throat.
Yeah.
And he frees his friends.
Alex on the table as well.
Oh, he's dead?
So at the end of last season, Alex was the guy who had Glenn's watch and I think got shot when they were rounding them up, or Rick shot him or something. And I think we find out he's Gareth's brother, and we see his body like on the table.
So they're going to eat him?
I don't know.
I wonder.
Maybe.
Because I think that's, so he called, I think it was Alex, called Mary mom in the
I think Alex and Gareth are Mary's kids.
Yeah, so I didn't realize that, I don't think, before, but Alex and Gareth are brothers and Mary's their mom. Yeah. So Bob says, what the hell are these people? And Daryl says, they ain't people. So Daryl's already dehumanized them, but I don't blame him in the moment.
Yeah, you're like, do you know what? This time it's okay.
Fine. Yeah. Let's just get the fuck out of there. Yeah. They find a room with a bunch of like torsos and shit hanging on hooks.
They're cut to look like chickens almost. It's so grim. So grim.
And Rick said, if you cross any of these people, you kill them. Don't hesitate. They won't. And I'm like, yep, I'm right there with you on that one.
Yep.
Then the whole train car thing that I mentioned already with the crazy dude. And then Rick busts train car A, door open, and says, come on, we fight to the fence. I feel like that's been said on this podcast. Maybe, was it you or Cindy?
Kristen loves that line.
We fight to the fence.
Yeah. Peter popped his head from the kitchen and went, Kristen. I was like, yeah.
And that's exactly what they do. And it's really strange to see Glenn whacking so many people with a bat. That's one thing I'd forgotten about.
It seems to be like I'm gonna sound really British now. It seems to be an aluminium bat rather than a wooden bat.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, because it made this
bat.
Metallic sound on the back of their head. Donk. That's all.
Yum. Mhm.
Then they get away. Yay.
Yay, the end. Nothing bad happens.
Ever again.
I thought my fear going back into this episode was sometimes when people talk disparagingly about the show, they're like, "Oh, is that like when Carol like blows up a whole place, like a whole
Mm,
terminus? It's really fucking unbelievable." So I wanted to take a critical look at what Carol actually does. Carol doesn't do that much. She actions a couple of really big things that are
mhm.
really, really helpful, but there's a lot of things in play that she uses to her advantage. So I liked this on a rewatch because I felt that it was believable enough
Same
in the
thing.
context of The Walking Dead. Like, obviously,
Yeah.
this isn't happening
In my
tomorrow.
head, she had a rocket launcher. And now
Yeah,
I'm
I
like,
know.
no, she just shot the fuel tank and shot a bottle rocket at it.
I was like,
You
she had an
know?
AK-47 and a bottle launcher, then she
Yeah.
shot everyone down, set everything on
Yeah.
fire, and left all on her
Exactly.
own. And I'm like,
But no.
no, it's not what happened. She took advantage of the key thing I'd forgotten was that a herd was coming anyway because of the roundup. The
Yeah.
most important thing that Carol did was not let Martin set off the fireworks
Yeah,
because
because the
that didn't just
fireworks were
yeah.
intended to. So they do this thing regularly, like I said, where they herd people in with guns. That's dumb, by the way. Just point your guns at them and tell them to go. But
Yeah.
anyway, so they have this system where they know, okay, there was a lot of gunfire that's going to draw the zombies in, so we'll send the firework guy out to make noise
Mhm.
somewhere else and draw them away. I
Yeah.
don't even know if I ever realized that's what was going on until just
No,
now.
me neither. I was like, when I watched the episode today, the second watch, I was like, oh, that's why he's there. I thought
Yeah.
that was weird that he
And
was
that's
setting off
why
fireworks.
Carol has this thing to launch at the.
Yeah, that's why
It's just
Carol
that
has all
guy's
her kit.
firecracker, basically.
Yeah, I was like,
Bottle
oh, it's
rocket.
because of the fireworks guy.
Yeah.
I forgot as well that Carol intends to drop Tyrese and Judith off and leave because she doesn't feel
Hmm.
welcome still by the group. I mean, how that will change by the end of the episode.
Yeah.
I've written that Carol and Therese find a cabin with a dickhead and a radio, which I think is fairly accurate.
Right.
I love how much he gives away over the radio, like without having to actually tell. Again, not having to spell it out to us. He talks about them bleeding the kid out.
Hmm.
He refers to Michonne in not racist terms, but in a term that made me not surprised if he was a racist, because the way he speaks about her as being a weapon with a weapon, I'm like,
Mm.
okay. So not a fan, but he gives away enough that they know exactly who he's talking about.
And that he's bad because he says he wants Carl's hat once they finish him
How
off or something.
dare he? How dare
I'm not
he,
saying it's
of
bad
all
to
the
want the
things?
hat. I'm saying he's.
No,
but-
I'm saying it's bad to want the hat. How dare he? That's Carl's hat, man. It's iconic. There was a line in the scene that really made me laugh. I loved Carol saying, "We're friends with the chick with the sword and the kid with the hat," but the way that Chad Coleman delivered the line, "Shut up, man," was so funny to me. Like, he's so disgusted by this guy just trying to lie his way out of it. He's just like, fucking shut up. No one
Right.
cares. I was like, perfectly delivered, 10 out of 10. And then Carol just does some of the old classics. She takes the guy's weapons, she covers herself in guts,
Mhm.
she goes to see what's going on, realizes that a herd is coming that I think would have overpowered at least the first fence, even if Carol hadn't intervened. All that she
Mm.
does, and it's brilliant, is manage to get a hole in the gas tank and get a firework near the gas, and that causes an even bigger explosion, which allows the chaos to unfold that allows her to go in and start salvaging both people and things.
Mhm.
So
She
although
did
she
pick
is,
at least one guy off in there.
yeah, there's a bit in the melee as well where she's picking off people here and there.
And she got Mary killed.
Yeah, oh my god, the showdown with Mary though.
Mhm.
I feel like they try to revisit this a bit with Carol and Alpha, and it sort of works, but I feel it with Carol and Mary, it really works because they're so similar. And that scene where Mary says to her, like, very honestly, what they did, what's it? She says they came and they, hang on, cut, that's it. So when they have this fight in the candle room, which again is so evocative of like war atrocities, so the memorializing, but also the taking of belongings from the dead,
Mm.
and they have this amazing visceral fight, and then Mary shares the story. She says they raped and they killed and they laughed over weeks, and that's got to hit hard with Carol, who's been a victim of domestic abuse.
Right.
And you can hear in her voice when she says like, "Where are the people?" Like her voice is like shaking. She just wants to get out of there. She tells Carol the message, "You're the butcher, you're the cattle," and says to Carol, "You could have been one of us." And then Carol lets the Zeds in for her. That's a powerful fight between two very well matched women who have quite a lot in common,
Yeah.
despite being on the opposite sides of the spectrum here.
I don't think that's an accident in this season
No,
for Carol, where it's been a lot about her responding to her own trauma by really focusing on being cutthroat and killing. And also, Rick started off as this peaceful farmer, but ended with biting this guy's throat out, and Carl fearing that they're going to become monsters. And now they've run into some actual monsters who are also responding to trauma, but in more extreme, like wait, because their trauma was worse. Our people
much
have
worse.
never gone through anything as bad as what the termites have gone through, but the response is more extreme, where they decided to just dehumanize everyone outside of their group and
Yeah.
consider them cattle. And I think Carol, I was asking myself, is Carol like that? And I'm like, well, no, she's sort of like that. I mean, she she would never kill somebody just to do it, but she did kill Karen and David in the service of what she thought was protecting her friends. I think it was more about
Mm,
protecting her friends even than herself, but yeah. So it is that is there is an element of you're either the butcher or the cattle in there. It's like either kill them or we're dead, you know. So there is a similarity there, but it's not as extreme. And the way Carol says, she goes, "You bring people here just to kill them." She's got this derision in her voice, and it's like,
yeah.
I wouldn't do that, and she wouldn't. She would
Yeah.
never do something like that.
No, absolutely not. Say what you like about Carol, but when she murders, she does it for her own damn reasons. Yeah. So I also enjoyed Mary's "oh shit" when the walkers got into Terminus. I like the actress who played Mary a lot, actually.
Denise
I'm
Crosby,
again, if she'd stuck around a bit longer, I wouldn't have been mad. But I think one of the
yeah,
reasons this episode is so iconic is because it's so short and because it
yes,
takes
that
away your
too.
expectations of like this is gonna drag out.
Yeah,
Carol going
hmm
through the belongings rooms is really tough to watch. She finds Rick's watch, Daryl's crossbow. It's like the stories you hear about the shoes in Auschwitz and things like that. Just this idea of
hmm
possessions that have belonged to people who are now no longer here or about to be murdered. Like it's dark stuff, and they do so much with the cinematography and the setting of this, just having her be in these spaces, very peaceful spaces, and the implication being with what's not being said or responded to. It's just incredible. Um, and yeah, we get an incredible reunion later in the episode that I'm sure we'll talk about. But essentially, my point is Carol did amazingly, but she wasn't a superhero. She just made fucking good choices and did some pretty drastic stuff that really paid off. Like, there's
yeah.
all things in there that I am willing to believe in the context of the show. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
No, I agree. Like I when so as you said, probably the biggest thing she did was prevent this guy from setting off the fireworks, right?
Yeah.
And he had said, you know, there's a bunch of my people in six different directions to set off charges to divert the walkers. Or I don't know what they call them, but anyway. Um,
Mm.
and so I was wondering why the herd still made it, but he's lying because the woman on the radio had said, "You screw up and you're on your own."
Yeah.
So he's the only one. But yeah, did that. Then yeah, so you already said it. Set off the explosion to cause chaos. I think that might have broken some of the fence, but maybe they would have gotten
Yeah.
through anyway. But the explosion also paused the butchering,
Exactly. Like that
so that
timing was,
saved Glenn and Daryl and Bob and Rick. Yeah, and
yeah.
then she picked off a few termites. Of course, saved Rick's watch. That's very important. That's about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had a point about her. Let me see if there's anything you didn't already say. What Alex, not Alex. Yeah, no, whatever this guy, Martin, the bastard guy in the
Baseball
cabin.
cap guy.
Yeah. He said
Yeah.
on the radio, I told Albert I want the kid's hat after they bleed him out. So they clearly intended on killing and eating Carl,
Hmm.
and the Alva teddy bears just corroborates that. They don't care if it's a kid or not. He was going to kill the baby too. He was
Oh,
walking over to the baby with the knife. Um,
they caught a scene where with the baby. I don't think the baby was acting, but they did a great job. Where just before Tyrese comes in and it's like dead quiet, and Martin looks really scared. They cut to the baby's face, and I've just written the baby's like, "Oh, look what you did! You made him mad." And I
They
was
probably
like,
picked the expressions they wanted on purpose because they had a whole bunch of different ones, you know?
"Baby Judith just fucking raging, like, yeah, fuck you, man. You threatened me. My nanny's gonna come in and fuck you up."
um, I went, so did a couple other just random things. Carol doing the guts thing, it always kills me that they don't at least go,
Oh,
oh my
I
God,
don't. They
that
do this
smells
all the
bad.
time.
It's like she's putting makeup on, doing her routine.
She looks so glamorous. Like there's a shot of her with like some on her face and her hair is picked up, and I'm like, God, Melissa McBride looks radiant. It's just like she looks lovely.
And then when she finds the watch, so I often get the watches mixed up, but Rick has his watch that he has all the time, and he gave that to Sam, and that's what she's finding now. Glenn
Mhm.
has his, I think, pocket watch that was given to him by Herschel.
Yeah.
So I guess, that was the one that Rick noticed on one of the termites when they first
Yeah.
came in, right? Did he grab it? He must
Yes.
have, right? He
Yeah,
did.
he grabbed it out of Alex's pocket, which is why they have it in the train car. Because I had the
Okay.
same thought. I was like, how do they have that?
Yeah.
And I feel like Michonne doesn't get her katana back until after the church. Because I don't think Carol picks it up.
Um, okay.
I think.
So does she go back and get it or something?
No, I think the termites have it with them.
Oh, right. Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
that's
that's
what
right.
happens.
Yeah. Mhm.
Eagerly awaiting whether I'm right or wrong on
I
this because
think
I
you're
thought
right.
she had something like it, but I think she has the case, but not
Mm.
the thing at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because they have these iconic weapons, and Michonne without her katana just seems wrong. But what if Glenn had carried that bat for the rest of the time?
Oh my God, can you imagine? Like,
I
maybe
want to
pick a
see
different one.
Glenn have a bat fight with Negan. I mentioned this earlier in an earlier episode, but this season's Invincible, one reason why it was great is because Jeffrey Dean Morgan guest stars as the voice of a villain, so you get to see a rematch.
I need to catch up. Maybe I'll watch it on the flight. I'm trying to find something to binge on the flight because
Mhm.
we're going London to Calgary and it's like 9 hours. I'm like, and it isn't at night, so like I'm gonna be anyway. Yeah, maybe I'll watch Invincible.
Yeah, I
That'll be
mean,
my plan.
that is such a gory cartoon, but it's good.
Yeah, it's great.
So I'm going to talk about Tyrese.
Yes, please do, because I think this is his best episode.
Oh,
I love him.
interesting. Why
Not
don't
but
you talk about Tyrese then?
no, well, no, I
Go
just
ahead.
like I've been thinking a lot about one of our listeners said in our last recording about how it's really nice to see Tyrese as this like gentle masculinity rather than like toxic, aggressive, violent, and how that's particularly refreshing for a black man on screen, like in terms of how they are usually or
Hmm.
can be depicted. What I really like about what Tyrese does in this episode is it's almost like the Hulk. It's
It
it's
is. Yeah, I was thinking
not
that too.
gratuitous. It costs him dearly. It's not something he likes doing. And
He knows he has a capacity for rageful violence, but he doesn't like that. So he tries not to
yeah.
trigger himself because he just doesn't want to go there. But when he does, he's very effective.
Oh God, yeah. And I
Yeah.
love this kind of something has opened up between him and Carol where because he knows what she is capable of and they've been forged through fire of this horrible thing with Lizzie and Mika, I think he's able to express himself quite freely with Carol about like I'm not able to or I am able to. And at the end of the episode, he's like, I did it because I had to when she sees the absolute carnage outside the cabin. And I just thought his scenes with Judith, because I was worried, like the way Martin plays him really well at the start. Like he's a sneaky bastard. He's like Tyrese gives up the name of the baby. They start talking. Martin's saying things that are quite empathetic, like, these are not my friends. They're just assholes I stay alive with. Do you remember football? Oh my God, I'm just a regular guy. I just love
Yeah.
barbecue.
But I like
um,
when halfway through he's like, why haven't you killed me? And why are you even
yeah,
talking to me? I'm like, that's a really good point, Martin.
yeah. And it's getting in his head. It's getting in his head. It's like, if you thought that, and then he says all this shit like, is it what's he says? Shame you're gonna die today, or something. You're a good guy, and that's why you're gonna die
Mm,
today. And he picks up on things like he gets that there's a tension between Tyrese and Carol. He says maybe your friend, and then pauses and goes, maybe that woman you know is doing this. Um, yeah, Tyrese saying you have no idea of the things I've done, and Martin says to him, "You're a good guy. That's why you're gonna die today. Why the baby's gonna die." Trying to persuade him to walk away and continue being lucky. I just think Chad Coleman gives an amazing performance in this episode. He just hits all the right beats, and it's not. I think it'd be really stupid if, like, next week Tyrese is just an absolute badass. Like, I love that he's able to tap into this energy, but it's not who he is.
Hmm.
And he's actually just, he calls Judith his friend. Like, all these amazing people who Judith will never remember, who've kept her alive at various points. It's incredible when
Yeah,
you think
and
about her.
I'm like, the guy has his hands around her neck,
Oh my
and he
God.
says he's just one twist or something like that, and I'm
Oh,
like, but poor baby, first Lizzie and now this.
I know. Judith turned out remarkably well. I
Right.
love him and Tyrese screaming at each other. It's one twist, man. Don't make me. Like, oh, the tension is so
Hmm.
high. Um, yeah, it's just brutal, unbelievable. The two of them are great together. The actor who plays Martin does an amazing job of being just an asshole
It
with
was
very
hard for
little.
me to even focus on what he was saying because he was chewing that gum, and I just wanted to punch him in the face.
I
And I
mean,
don't
douchebag number one,
like
right?
it's weird too because gum chew. I have some misophonia sometimes where sounds
Same.
make me really angry, but it's not always all gum chewing. But this gum chewing really got me.
Mhm.
I was like,
I don't love gum chewing. I also hate. I can't do knuckle cracking. Like when people
yeah,
crack their
my
knuckles
kids do
beside
that,
me,
and I'm like, don't do that.
it literally makes me go like I just.
And Jenny,
I,
I don't know if this is related, but she like bites her nails while we're watching
oh,
movies, and I'm like,
I
don't
do that,
do
and it
that.
drives Peter crazy. He's like, stop it," and I'm like, sorry. It is an annoying noise. I realize. I'm sorry.
uh
Yeah. So that was my thoughts on Tyrese. Really.
yeah, cool. Let me see. When he says to Martin, no one's got to die today, and Martin says, man, if you believe that, then it's definitely going to be you and the kid. I just thought of it's like Rick and Shane all over again. Shane telling Rick, you're not built for this world. It's that kind of
Yeah.
message. But you know, this whole season, it's been like, you have to be cutthroat or you're going to die. Um, but there's, um, there's some complexity to that. It's not black and white, in
No.
my opinion. What else? I guess that's it. Yeah. So I'm going to go on something else,
Go for it.
which is called You're the Butcher or the Cattle. So,
Is it a game show? Do we get to play?
do
I pick
you
cattle.
want the machete or the pillow or something? I don't know. So, first part of this is I thought it was very fascinating to see them go into these flashbacks with the termites,
Mm.
where Gareth and his people are in one of the train cars, shivering and crying as you hear the screams outside. And Alex says, we should never put up the signs. What the hell did we think was going to happen? It's just so bleak. And then Gareth saying,
Yeah.
we were trying to do something good. We were being human beings. What are we now, Gareth? And I think the answer is cattle, right? That's
Cattle.
what they are now. And then at the one at the end where the guy comes in to pick another woman and
Oh, that made
smacks
me
Gareth.
sick.
Yeah. And that was
Awful.
just, yes, so, totally sickening. And Gareth saying, we're going to take it back. You're either the butcher or the cattle. And so I'm like, what's the lesson here? That you can't trust anyone? That is the answer to being the victim of dehumanization, to dehumanize everyone else? No, it's the same thing I was talking about in my episode with the claimers, that if you turn everyone else into an enemy just by your modus operandi, eventually you're
Mm.
going to face someone stronger or more clever than you who's going to beat you. Like, you're just by the way the termites are, they make a lot of people who would not be enemies into enemies.
Mm.
And so they took the wrong message from what happened to them. The message should have been, there are some very bad people out there, so you need to be careful and be smart. But it doesn't mean that you should treat everyone the same. Later, we see Aaron and Daryl go out scouting for people to bring back to Alexandria. And then at the Commonwealth, we see them bring people in, but they have to go through this series of intense interviews with armed guards. And I don't even think it's on site, right? Like they're being careful about it, about how they interact with people. And I think it's really interesting to frame this whole thing as the termites, they're good people undergoing trauma and that turning them into being just as bad or worse than the thing that traumatized them. Because there's a pattern in real life of people who were abused in childhood going on to become abusers. Not always, but it's enough, it happens enough to say it's a pattern. And then the whole tit for tat thing I was talking about before, like in the Middle East or on Last of Us, the WLF and the Seraphites. And so I think a lot of this is to make us think about Rick's group and whether they might head in the same direction or if they're already going down that path.
Mhm.
You know, Carl's already afraid that they're monsters, and so it makes sense the final villain in this arc is people who've let the world make them so insular and brutal towards outsiders. Carol, she doesn't want to kill innocent people, but she will if she thinks it's for the greater good.
Mm.
And if I don't think she's lost touch with her humanity completely, but I think she has to a degree. And
Mhm.
if you dehumanize anyone you don't already trust, that can lead to seeing anyone you don't know or trust as inhuman. And the termites are just an
Yeah.
extreme version of that. Glenn is still on the other extreme, trying to remind people that they should still be empathetic and caring. And of course, he gets smacked right away for it because this is The Walking Dead. But I still don't think, I think that's the thing. Being a good person can be risky, but you just have to
Mhm.
do it smartly. And then Rick, we see Rick moving a little bit more that way, even in this episode. Like he wants to go back and take out the rest of them, not to just make sure they won't come after them, but because they don't get to live. And
Mhm.
then I think later on, these guys are exactly why Rick doesn't trust Aaron, another unassuming chill guy, welcoming them into his
Mhm.
community, which I don't blame him for. That's why I say you got to be smart. And he was smart with Aaron, maybe a little bit more brutal than he needs to be, but
Mhm.
fine. And I think that what's interesting about that, and we'll talk about it more when we get to it, though, is even if you read the comics and you know Aaron's a good guy, you still wonder, is the show going to pull a fast one on us and
Yeah.
turn him into another?
Never forget Dante.
Yeah, right, Dante. Um, but
What would you What would you do if you were a termite and you'd lived through all that? What do you think
I,
your next step is?
how
I mean,
do I know?
obviously, it's
I don't know what
yeah.
I would
Obviously,
do.
you're not going to be like, oh, I would have set up a butchery. Like, obviously, that's the next step. But like, what?
Yeah, I mean, maybe I would have. I don't know. Probably not. I don't think
Yeah,
so. But I mean, the thing, yeah, you can never answer a question like that until
no,
you've been through it. But what I'd like to think I would do is huddle together with my loved one. Well, I'd break out of there, kill all those fuckers, and
hmm
then just try to heal. And like, yeah, I probably wouldn't trust anyone for a long, kind of like what Michonne did after those
yeah.
kids, you know?
I think I'm with you because, like, I think what the termites do is that's the most evil is the trapping of other people. It's one thing to attack people to defend yourself and perhaps be more brutal because you've been through something so horrible. But it's the escalation of that to active pursuit of taking of life
Yeah.
that's the line, isn't it?
Yeah, they just like a switch flipped in their head where they're just like, no one else counts but us anymore. They're nothing.
Us first, always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's, yeah, maybe that is a bit unbelievable still. You know, I
Mm.
don't know if that people would draw people in to kill them like that. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, Peter said he turned cannibal within 2 weeks, so like I wish I could say I don't believe it, but I'm like,
That's funny.
I don't know. I never want our cupboards to be empty, put it that way.
But so not, I mean, aside from just being a great episode on its face with a great villain, I do think it's meant to reflect on where our heroes are. And
Yeah.
Rick, like, there's always been talk about among the fans, some of the fans, about Rick taking on aspects of his foes, becoming more
hmm
ruthless like Shane, more crafty like the governor. With the termites, I think he does start to lose empathy with strangers. In fact, I'd definitely say even to the point of dehumanizing them. Like he
Yeah,
wants to
definitely.
go in and slaughter everyone at the hospital where Beth is being held without knowing the situation there, whether any of them are good
hmm
people.